Oh my god, he's back so soon after posting the world video. You're damn right I am. I'm gonna be honest, if you're like watching this go up and you're like, good lord Connor, relax, you just finished your thing. I'm gonna be real with you, I'm not feeling burnt out like at all. I love my job. And we got more Wilds news, so we're gonna do some stuff with that. We're gonna talk about that. Also, gonna be honest, the world review did not get algo snagged, so we're gonna keep working to try and help and get it where it deserves to go. So, perfect little project to start working on, and the new videos, I think I'm just gonna, I don't know, start writing like tonight or whatever. But yeah, no, let's start things off. So we got a developer letter from Tokita today. Haven't read it yet. We're gonna be reading it together. I mean, we know a little bit of what's gonna be in here already because they've talked about it, but I'm interested in the details. So I think this is mostly going to be talking about the expanded endgame content and charms. So, easiest baby game, Monster Hunter game in the world, right? It's about to get even more difficult. You asked for this, and I think it's hilarious. So let's actually read this. Yep. So, hello hunters, this is Yuya Tokita, director of Monster Hunter Wilds. Thank you so much for playing Monster Hunter Wilds. Thank you for making it. It's turned out to be a pretty dang good game. And a big thank you as well to all the hunters who've been sharing their game feedback and requests. You made it this way. You did this to us. This is all your fault, other players. The entire development team is carefully reviewing your feedback and working hard to implement improvements and adjustments. Guys, these dudes must be flying. I do not envy being in that office right now. Yeah, the big stuff is getting a little drip fed, but they're like moving updates up and forwards and all around the place and trying to get out content faster and doing a whole bunch of course corrections. I mean, it seems kind of drip feedy just because of the big chunks of time in between the TUs, but really the speed at which they're like pumping out corrections and changes is, I'd say, faster than the last two games for sure. We apologize for the time some improvements may take, but we are committed to delivering a more enjoyable and satisfying game experience, so we greatly appreciate your patience. Hey man, I'm good. As previously announced, we plan to release version 1.021 update on Wednesday, August the 13th. This update will include expanded endgame content, balance adjustments for weapons, and other adjustments and improvements. So that's coming right up. I'm not sure always exactly what they mean, so that could be tonight, that could be tomorrow, because sometimes these things go off of like Japanese time. So one way or the other, very, very soon. Originally planned for implementation in the third title update scheduled for the end of September, we've moved up the implementation of expanded endgame content to the version 1.021 updates. We will be adding a new set of high difficulty quests, and as rewards for completing them, you can obtain talismans with randomly assigned bonuses, including weapon skills. But I think we already kind of knew about this, or we thought about this, that these talismans were going to have weapon skills on them and expand our ability to actually get those weapon lock skills, which, again, I would prefer if they just reset it. Hopefully they'll reset it in the next game. I think this might be too entrenched to fix for the expansion, but hey, just give us more access to how these weapon skills are going to work, just to make it a little bit more convenient. I'll take it, that's fine. So we got a new set of high difficulty quests. 9-star monsters will be appearing when you're HR 100 or higher. I think most of us who play the game consistently are at that point by now, but that's pretty high up there for just a baseline quest requirement. And yeah, it looks like those guys that were already at 8s are going up into the 9s. So, Tempered Monsters 9-star species will begin appearing in locales. Following that, our third title update in late September, we'll see additional 9-star monsters appear in event quests. So some dedicated 9-star quests will eventually be showing up. For veteran players who have experienced endgame content in previous Monster Hunter titles, we understand that the difficulty of Tempered Monsters at launch may have felt lacking. Therefore, starting with Title Update 2, we've introduced a system for more detailed monster parameter customization, as well as other adjustments to ensure a challenging and rewarding experience. God, we've gone from probably the single easiest high rank they've ever put out to like maybe the most difficult at this point. It's really funny. It's really, really, really funny. And for the most part, I would say it's good. Maybe the health bloat is getting to be a little bit stupid, but we'll see how good these weapon talismans are. That'll probably be a bit of a playing field opener. So we're gonna start out, you really want to take your min-maxed stuff for 8 stars, throw out the 9s, it's going to be a tough bout. Then you get the new talismans, and that's going to even out the playing field. I mean, we'll have to see just how strong these new bad boys are. Add a glowing stone appraisal item as a quest reward for quests with 9-star monsters. All right, so this is going to be, yeah. Oh, so it's just, so looking at this image, so that's just the new reward table is going to be the, okay. All right, interesting. So this isn't even going to give you Ardean parts. It's, all right, cool, okay. I kind of dig that, honestly. Not that I'm surprised, but yeah, no, that's good. What I think they do need to do at this point is add in some method of control for the star level and strength level eventually. Just because once the game kind of realizes that once you're in a higher level spot, it's gonna predominantly be throwing the higher level stuff at you. I think some level of control is gonna be needed eventually, just because of how different the rewards tables are for non-tempered and now 8-star and 9-star. Upon quest completion, the glowing stone appraisal item, a quest reward for quests with 9-star monsters, will transform into an appraised talisman with randomly assigned skills. Unlike other talismans, which can be crafted and upgraded at the smithy, appraised talismans cannot be upgraded. Okay, that's nice and simple. However, they can be randomly granted not only armor skills, but weapon skills and decoration slots. Ooh, both weapon skill and armor skill decoration slots. All right. Okay, let me finish reading. Allowing for more customization and experimentation with builds. We hope this leads to more engaging gameplay and encourages hunters to try different weapons and armor based on the talismans they obtain. Okay, so I will say, this does sound cool. This does sound fun. The only hang up is just going to be how nice the RNG is going to skew in the favor of weapon-oriented skills. Because it's going to be armor skills possible, weapon skills possible, weapon slots possible, armor skills possible. So ideally, just because of how the limitations of the decorations work, we're probably going to be wanting to be rolling and rolling and rolling for talismans that have weapon skills and or weapon slots. Because armor skills and slots, yeah, that's not bad. Sure, if you get something nice. And again, if you're like me, you don't always play min-max, so if you find something that's got like some weapon skills on it, some weapon slots on it, but also fire res, like, ooh, I can throw that at Nudra. That sounds kind of fun. I can throw that into a counter build. If you're like me, you'll like that a little bit more. I can see for people who really want to just do max damage, which again, not me, but I understand. I can see that there might be a bit of a concern considering how much stuff can potentially go on these. So yeah, I think this is probably still going to be fun to experiment with and just kind of see what you get. But I'm also someone who's like, ooh, what did I get? What can I make out of this? There's going to be people who are like, I'm looking for this specific thing. You get the talisman as is. So some of it can be comfort stuff, some of it can be counterpick stuff, some of it can be high level damage stuff. But yeah, obviously you're probably going to be looking for those talismans that are going to have probably a good weapon skill built in and then some weapon slottage built in, and getting the really nice ones because of the chance that there's going to be armor stuff involved might make, I don't know, maybe not even that much, because even with armor skills and armor slots, that's still room for Flayer, that's room for weakness exploit, that's room for agitator, that's room for adrenaline rush and evade window. So yeah, you probably want the weapon stuff just because of economy reasons, but it's not like there's zero damage value on getting armor-oriented stuff on this either. So if you're doing the math out, maybe, but I think you're going to be getting good stuff pretty much regardless of what you get here. So yeah, I think only maybe like the min-maxers are really gonna not like this. Other than that, I think this is probably gonna be really fun. Additionally, we recognize that endgame content early after the game's release was slightly skewed around Arkveld. This, combined with the fact that Arkveld is relatively resistant to elements, resulted in limited opportunities to try diverse builds. In response, we have adjusted the difficulty, average hunting time, and rewards for each of the 9-star monsters, being added in an effort to ensure that all monsters offer balanced rewards fitting with the effort spent hunting them. We encourage you to select your hunts based on your own individual skill, equipment, or needs, and enjoy each challenge. Okay, so talking about that, again, you're probably going to want to have some kind of difficulty tracking adjustments at some point. The ability to skew investigations up and down might be something you want to invest in the future. That could be something kind of nice. But yeah, so right off the bat, everything that's going to be an 8-star is probably going to be a 9-star, which is great because that's already about like 9 or 10 monsters. So that's a nice big broad range. I am interested how multi-monsters targets are going to affect your quest reward structure. If it's going to be very similar to the Ardia parts where it's just going to expand on that table, that'd be very nice if that's the case. We'll have to wait and see how that works, but that's one of the biggest strengths of Wilds, is that the absolute range of viable monsters crushes basically the viability range on most every other Monster Hunter game ever. So if they can maintain that, that would be great. But it's awesome to see that they're taking into consideration the fact that they were hyper specified on Arkveld on release, and now they're broadening up considerably. so that you can be getting these really nice rewards while hunting more or less whatever you want. That's one of the best things that the 8-star update and the TU 1 and 2 monsters brought to the game so far, and I'm glad to see that that's only going to be improving. 9-star monster adjustments. In light of the addition of 9-star monsters, we've lengthened the duration of meal effects so that they're less likely to expire if the hunts go on a little long. Okay, that's fine. We also raised the upgrade limit for armor of rarity 5 or above. That's also pretty good, though we need more stuff to get armor spheres in this game for sure. So the players can squeeze in a little bit more defense before they go against the challenging new monsters. Additionally, from HR 100 and higher, Raidao and New Udra will now appear in the Wounded Hollow. Interesting. And each region's apex predator will be more likely to appear even with that region not experiencing an inclemency. Okay. That's kind of convenient, but at the same time, man, you're really kind of just proving that the giant weather effects were really just fluff, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. That is convenient, that is nice for grinding purposes, but yeah. Title Update 3. Previously mentioned, Title Update 3 will see the gradual introduction of 9-star monsters in event quests as well. We are also adjusting the strength of support hunters in line with the addition of 9-star monsters. We apologize that the timing of these adjustments are in stages and come after the implementation of the monsters themselves, but we hope you understand that this is the result of expediting the monster implementation. Makes perfect sense to me. In order to diversify the lineup of quests, we're working to make it possible for Legiacris to appear in the Wounded Hollow, as well as other additions such as more hunts targeting packs of monsters. Okay, so we want to make the packs a little bit more interesting. Cool. And Laggy in the Wounded Hollow. So that's going to be nice for Laggy because not everybody likes the underwater hunt, and that's just going to chop that out of the fight. That's good. That's good. As much as I don't mind it, that's a nice change. I think that's a really good idea. Also implementing adjustments to improve gameplay convenience, such as preventing monsters from spontaneously destroying pop-up camps and resetting the cooldown for mantles upon beginning a quest. That's very nice. Again, we're kind of going against the thing that like the whole seamlessness was, I don't know. Not really. There's a couple of admissions in this letter that, yeah, some of our big ambitious ideas was really kind of clashing with how these games kind of work. It stinks. I know you really wanted to be ambitious with this game. There was a lot of stuff that you did that was really cool on paper, but I think you're kind of starting to realize that, yeah, in the long term, it really created some inconveniences, which sucks, but yeah. Too bad. Finally, we can also assure you that new monsters added in Title Update 3 will also feature 9-star difficulty quests. Okay, so these guys are going to have a star level. They also say monsters. Now, we know better than to get hung up on the implementation of an S or not. We'll see what happens, because they've pluraled and singulared a couple of times all over the place. So we'll see what we get. But I don't know. They kind of seem to be double down on the plural, so that's interesting. I've talked about it before. I've read leaks before. I kind of know what's going on. So I'm kind of interested in what exactly that's going to mean, because I didn't know about plurality. I thought it was just going to be one thing. Interesting. We'll see how it goes. We hope you look forward to the new contents for Title Update 3, and that in the meantime, you can enjoy the new additions from 1.021 to strengthen your equipment and collect appraised talismans in preparation for the challenging hunts ahead. I think what they probably did is they know that the gap between TU2 and TU3 is really, really huge. So they're giving us a nice big new chunk of endgame stuff to do with little other content around it, just so we can focus fire on that and have stuff to come back to and do throughout the game while we're waiting for the content chunk. Honestly, I think this was a pretty wise decision on their end, just to keep the game feeling healthy. Weapon balance changes. Okay, if you know me, I don't really care about weapon meta like too much. I don't really care about optimized movesets and whatnot. So I can go off some word of mouth I've heard about what some weapons want or don't want, but I'm not really going to know like, ooh, this and this is going to balance out that and that. I can just kind of go off of what I think is going on. What I'm really kind of looking for is just more elemental output for a lot of the elemental weapons, because I know Element is really struggling and I like Element a lot. That's mostly what I want. So it's looking like Title Update 2 is these, and then version 1.021, Greatsword, Longsword, Sword and Shield dualies. Hammer's fine for now. Hunting Horn, Lance, Gun Lance is fine for now, Swax, okay, so pretty much everything. In previous updates, we aimed for greater diversity in hunting styles and equipment builds, including equipment with elemental properties, okay? We performed balance adjustments, including some downward adjustments to ensure no single strategy was overly effective against monsters introduced later on. However, this resulted in some hunting styles becoming less viable and certain weapon types experiencing lower than intended viability. We apologize for the results that we did not communicate our balancing intentions clearly enough. That's good communication, I like that. This update will mitigate the excessive downward adjustments made in Title Update 2 and will focus on enhancing each weapon type's individuality while strengthening their ability to face high difficulty monsters planned in the future. We'll be implementing upward adjustments for the 11 weapon types. That is a good call. So it kind of sounded like they wanted to have a little bit more universalism in the weapons, and it just didn't work out, didn't pan out. So like, no, every weapon is kind of universally good at doing something. Let's kind of stick with maintaining its identity. That is the right decision. I agree with this. Revisiting downward adjustments. For Sword and Shield, Charge Blade, Light Bowgun, and Heavy Bowgun, we'll be revisiting downward adjustments made in TU2. In Wilds, we've been particularly focused on making the weapon easy to handle, even for beginners, making adjustments to its moveset so that a certain level of damage can be dealt in any action. Among these, the damage output of some actions was found to be too high in relation to their ease of use when compared to other weapon types. Therefore, we made some downward adjustments in TU2. Among these adjustments, we found that the downward adjustment to Guard Slash reduced the usage frequency of Counter Slash, so we're applying a slight power increase to Guard Slash to compensate. In TU2, we aimed to balance Amped Element Discharge so that it could offer another reliable source of damage beyond multi-hit attacks in Axe mode. However, the adjustment resulted in less power than intended and also failed to expand player options. To address this, we revisited these adjustments and made it so that the increased damage via enhanced files is reflected while in Power Axe mode, making it easier to maintain high damage output while keeping Power Axe mode intact. With the bowguns, introduced downward adjustments to elemental and pierce ammo to prevent them from being overpowered against future high difficulty monsters like the recently introduced Arch-Tempered Uthuna, and to ensure that a variety of weapon types were viable. However, we're reviewing this change and will be slightly increasing the power of elemental ammo for light bowguns. Cool. We will also relax the downward adjustment to the amount of rapid fire and ignition gauge recovery when using pierce ammo. Finally, we'll increase the amount of gauge recovery for various ammo types and improve the handling and power of special ammo in order to expand viable ammo selections for more situations. Other weapons will perform some upward adjustments for weapons like the Greatsword and Insect Glaive as well, which previously have not been the subject of balance changes. For dual blades, we focused on improving usability, such as making Demon Boost mode easier to maintain and making Focus Strikes easier to use. In particular, based on player feedback, we added a Focus Strike action, which can be chained into others. That provides another option for continuing attacks without changing your position. Interesting. That's a little bit more like the corkscrew attack in Rise, huh? Implemented adjustments for each weapon type, focusing on expanding playstyle options. We encourage hunters to try each of the weapons out again after the update is live. Details on the adjustments made for each weapon type will be included in the guild report on our official social media account, so please check the report for more information that we weren't able to share here. We also plan to adjust some series skills that were previously difficult to use with the overall goal of increasing equipment build options. Let's see, got some bug fixes. Currently aware of an issue across all platforms where the game may crash when a player gesture such as a water gun gesture hits another player. I have not run into that, but that's good to fix. Let's see, optimization. Fix bugs related to shader compilation and reduce the impact of anti-cheat measure on processing load by about 90%. In addition, as an option to reduce CPU load while improving frame rates, we implemented support for the latest super resolution technologies DLSS4 and FSR4. In addition, in TU2, we improved our texture loading process, reducing instances where low quality textures are displayed for monsters suddenly enter the player's field of view. Title Update 3 will see similar improvements for NPCs and sacred mounts. Okay, so that's talking about stuff that they've already done. Okay, so nothing immediately in the future. Looking ahead, we would like to express our sincere gratitude for all those who provided with valuable feedback and requests. We will continue to share the development team's progress on these through our guild reports. For detailed information on adjustments, including those we were unable to cover in this update, please refer to our official social media accounts and website. Continue to make various fixes and adjustments through future updates, as well as implement additional exciting new content. We also plan to address improvements that were not included in the version 1.021 updates in future title updates. Please look forward to more details we'll be announcing soon about Title Update 3, scheduled for release at the end of September. That's, we're starting to get there. Like a month and a couple of days? Month 10? Like 40 days or something, maybe? Let's see. For our fourth title update this winter, on top of new monsters, we're also considering additional weapon-related endgame features. Interesting. I wonder if this is going to be something to bump up the monster weapons. We'll see. Looks like they're thinking about it. Continue our work. We'll continue to work hard for Monster and Wilds to make it enjoyable as possible for hunters throughout the world. Thank you for your continued support. Okay, cool. So, all right. So, readjusting some weapon changes that they were gonna do. Looks like they're kind of course correcting off of some course correction. I'm sure there'll be more balanced notes and whatnot in a more kind of less flavored report, so I'll kind of key into what that's going to be. Not the most interesting thing in the world for me, but it's good that they're like walking back a couple chains like, we went too far in a couple places. But yeah, the big thing is going to be talismans to tide us over into TU3. So that's like the big thing we're going to be doing. I think it's looking like these are going to be really cool for the most parts. It's going to lean into, I think what Wilds is pretty strong at is you have a big fat variety of monsters and a big generalized reward table. Just go play the game and enjoy and get rewards. It's not super generalized. It's not super focused. Just go play, have fun, and you're going to get your really cool stuff. Some people really enjoy that. Some people really don't. It's the direction that they're leaning in. I think there's some gives and takes and some positives and negatives. For the most part, I think this is probably going to be a lot of fun to just see what you get off of these. I really don't mind RNG talismans. And also, having to not go through a melder and just getting them off of rewards is going to make it a little bit easier to just remember. Hopefully the 9 stars aren't too overtuned. I think we're kind of moving into a territory where the health numbers are getting a little bit higher than they realistically need to be, but we'll see how that balances out with how good the talismans are. And for the most part, I think this is going to be just a nice, big, generalized slab of content to work with for about the next 40, 45, maybe 50 days until TU3 comes out. So we'll have a nice big spattering of new stuff to play around with. Not super generalized, but not super focused, but more generalized and more just kind of play to have fun and having something new to do and playing around with. And I'll talk about whether or not I think the RNG and the bang for the buck and the levels of the 9-star monsters are good or not when we get around to it, when this update drops a little bit later on in the week, maybe closer towards like the weekend. We'll see. Other than that, this has been CR-Volcanic or Connor. I'll see you around.